Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table podcast. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. Today is the Captain's Table podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more with folks from all over the Star Citizen universe. Joined today by Citizen Dempsey, Deedsy Dempsey. Citizen Deedsy, HC Vertigo, and Access. I'll let them introduce themselves here in a moment. But I'm going to do a little bit of a plug because I've been trying to do this more often. We do have a podcast version on Spotify. It is on Spotify, Google stuff, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all the podcasts out there. Though most people listen to us on Spotify, and it goes out within 24 hours of this stream going live. But we also do this live at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/at the Captain's Table podcast on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And what time is it over there in UK, DZ? Like 9 p.m.?
About 8:30. Yeah.
20
past 8.
So 8 p.m. Eastern, British time. So come join us live. But before we get into the topic today, which is going to be first-person shooter, the first-person shooter experience in Star Citizen, how is it? How might it change? And what should we see in the future? I'm going to introduce all these folks today. I'm going to start over here with Mr. Deedsy. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? And where can they find you?
So I'm Citizen Deedsy. I've been a backer since 2014. I was fresh out of uni.
And now you have 2 kids, a mortgage, and a job, right? Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, exactly right. So, on and off playing throughout the years as Star Citizen surpassed my PCs. Finally got a up-to-date one last year. Started listening to the Captain's Table and a few other, and watching a lot of the streams and stuff like that, and got back into Star Citizen full time. And now I make content on mostly YouTube. Put my shorts on TikTok and Instagram, things like that, but mostly YouTube, where I just try to be a bit more lighthearted, don't take myself too seriously, show off the bugs, show off my miraculous misadventures throughout the verse, and try and be a bit informative and just try and get some more people in the verse, basically. So yeah, I was just happy to come and chat on the podcast. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You reached out a couple of weeks ago, and like, yeah, sure, you can join us. And I do always want to tell people this because people are like, "Oh, how can I get on?" I know what people I want to come on. Just reach out.
It's like, just ask Paul. Like
I'm always looking for people because what happens is typically people get super busy. So if someone wants to come on, especially if if a specific topic makes you mad, you're like, "Well, I know more about this topic. Talk to me." I always need to see more experts and people who have powerful opinions about things. So you reach out to me so you basically mostly do gaming content, right? Just just gameplay stuff like that.
Yeah, light-hearted sort of ship reviews, a bit of memes thrown in there, just like I say. And most of my shorts do sometimes come across negative, like I'm trying to show off the bugs, but more importantly, I'm showing that I'm enjoying myself and living with the chaos that Star Citizen sometimes provides. But no, like I say, just a bit lighthearted sort of things and news and updates as and when they come, really. So yeah.
All right. Axis, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
I'm Axis 0096. I predominantly am an industrial, but I do dip into some combat more or less whenever the role needs to be applied, Some pin cushions do need to be poked, but
you say that, but when they actually get a proper combat Titan suit out, the call of the Gundam will come to you.
Oh yes, indeed. I'm just hoping it's not overly slow and clunky and more fast and graceful, but we can't have everything.
Man, I would kill for a combat Titan suit that moves like the Geo.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fun.
Geo 3 or something with high mobility. Come on.
I want to, and it's Axis 0096 everywhere, right?
Pretty much, but there are some liberties I had to use on, Kick and a couple of other places because somebody got my moniker.
Okay.
But it's,
Basically, if you search X0096, you probably should
Or
find me somewhere.
AO96, you'll find me.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. And last but not least, we have the Sultan of Stanton himself, Mr. HC Vertigo, coming off of a particularly salty stream.
Yep.
Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm AC Vertigo, a Star Citizen streamer here on Twitch and YouTube. We're doing more stuff on YouTube these days. We're making videos. Try to do at least once a week a video on YouTube, if not more. But yeah, you can find me here on Twitch, HC Vertigo, YouTube, HC Vertigo, Blue Sky, HC Vertigo, Instagram, HC Vertigo, just HC Vertigo everywhere. HC Vertigo and Discord as well. There you go.
I forgot to do social posts, so I'm trying to do that right now without the click to class going anymore.
You son of a bitch. It's my fault.
Yeah. No, it's my fault for not thinking about this before. The Sultan of Stanton. There we go.
My gosh.
So
That's good.
we're gonna talk about FPS. This is gonna be a little bit more loose and less like specifically structured. I might do another one if there's just any experts out there in FPS gameplay that want to talk more specifically. But this is mostly going to be sort of vibes. All of us have played the game a lot and have some experience with it. I was a little inspired by their FPS discussion because it did seem to make a lot of folks mad in the community.
Yeah.
The direction they want to go with. And I do want to talk at least initially, like right now, what is the FPS experience like right now? Like goods and bads. Is there like the good points, the bad points? I'll start with you, Vertigo. You could do good or bad. It's up to you. What do you want to start with?
I mean, like, I think the biggest, the bad that we can ever mention, since I'm going first, we'll mention the biggest one is the netcode. Just desync and latency, bandwidth issues. Just you're shooting at a guy and he's teleporting all over the place, or you're shooting at an NPC, he's teleporting all over the place, or you shoot a guy and he goes into the animation state to go down, and then he snaps back up right and he shoots you. Or you're taking damage around corners. Like you pop around a corner, see a guy, you pop back around the corner to avoid getting into a firefight, and you start taking damage while you can't see the guy. That's kind of like the big problem. FPS games live and die on their netcode. And that's one of the biggest problems in Star Citizen right now. And the more people you shove into an area, the worse it gets. And Chris Roberts wants to have an MMO, right? So instancing, they're talking about instancing. I think part of the problem, or one of the problems we're trying to solve with instancing, is how do you manage the netcode? How do you handle latency and bandwidth and ping and whatnot when you have over 100 people? Because I've played PlanetSide 2, and at a certain point, PlanetSide 2 had like 600, 500 people per server, and everybody would decide to fight in a biolab. And how do you handle that, right? How do you handle 500 people in the space of a broom closet? And PlanetSide 2 wasn't able to handle it. How they handled it was they just started culling information. They started removing players from your field of vision. Basically, you'd have render distance, and they would use the render distance to help control latency. So you get into a firefight in a broom closet, and you wouldn't be able to see people 5 meters in front of you. You'd literally step out of the broom closet, and you see 50 people just appear in front of you all at once, just having a firefight. It was disgusting, honestly. PlanetSide 2 was better when you had more room to maneuver when you're outside, like the biolabs and whatnot. But when everybody got into a biolab, it was just awful. Or if you had like a bunch of people fighting over like a control point on a outpost or something, you basically switched to shotguns and like C4 and grenades, and you just started throwing rockets and stuff into like rooms where nobody was in the room, but you start throwing rockets and grenades and C4 into a room, and you detonate, you get like 50 kills, and it was like, well, I guess there was a bunch of people in there anyways. So CIG needs to figure out how to solve that problem. I think instancing is one of those tools that they will use. They will limit the amount of people that could be inside of like a future contested zone in like Castor or I'm trying to think of like Vega or something. Like far into the future, they're going to use instancing to like prevent like these networking issues, because these are really sticky issues that are hard to solve. MMOs throughout history have been trying to solve these problems,
Yeah,
and
and CIG seems to really be leaning into like dynamic meshing as their solution to the problem. That's always
Yeah.
been their sort of solution to the problem is dynamic meshing.
But again, as I said, like if you have, I've said this before, like back in like the 3.0 days on the podcast, the true limit is how many people can you get shoulder to shoulder on a landing pad at Port Olisar or Seraphim Station now, like one of those open space landing pads. Could you fit 100 people having an FPS fight? A couple little barricades and whatnot. Can 100 people, 50 versus 50, have a firefight on that open space landing pad without having any sort of degraded performance? And a lot of MMOs have problems with that concept, and I think CIG is trying to solve it, and it's gonna be a really sticky problem, I think.
Yeah, I think the other,
But that's
a big problem.
But going back around to like capping off my portion here is the netcode right now is the big problem with FPS gameplay, in my opinion.
How about, is there anything good about the gameplay currently that you'd like to see saved in the future? Other than obviously them fixing those other problems.
There's probably a bunch of stuff I could say, but one thing that comes to mind recently is the level design the people who are building the levels, the people who are designing the levels, the art, the assets, the layout. They're doing a pretty good job. The Onyx facility in the Stanton system, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go into the engineering core, you know what I'm talking about, Paul. You've been there. Anybody who's like wondering if they should reinstall Star Citizen and check it out, like I highly recommend, if you are going to reinstall Star Citizen, if you're an old backer or a new backer, check out the Onyx facility, the ASD missions in Stanton.
Yeah,
those facilities are extremely well put together. And I've done a couple runs of the Rockcracker dungeons, Rockbreaker, whatever the heck they want to call it. Those are pretty good. The problem I have with those is they're really dark and really dreary, and you have to bring a flashlight, and you have to turn your brightness up to actually see anything. They really need to add more
native lighting, maybe.
Yeah, something with the lighting or something going on in there. But it's pretty cool to. I actually got ambience. Yeah, something ambient lighting or something needs to go in there. But I've gone in there. They got a good direction, good vibes going in there. I actually managed to get one of the stations to power up today, but I wasn't actually able to go through the whole station and see everything's in there. But the power up sequence was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the station come back to life and whatnot, and get access to other rooms. But they need a little bit more in those stations. I can't quite explain it. It just feels like it's missing something. But when you go in there and you see the art, as a set piece, the ASD facilities, Stormbreaker, contested zones, Rockcracker, whatever you want to call it, those are actually pretty decent. So I think CIG can definitely cook with level design and make stuff that is interesting to play, interesting to look at, interesting to move through, interesting to fight over. I am very confident their level design team, and their feature team that are responsible for this stuff, they can do a good job. I think Squadron 42 is going to look amazing, by the way, and it's probably going to play pretty good, at least on foot. I'm not quite sure about the spaceship stuff, but FPS stuff, I think CIG is going to make it very interesting to fight and play with.
Especially since, like, the main problem, as you pointed out, is netcode, and the netcode issues aren't a thing in a single-player offline game.
Yeah.
So, Axis, your thoughts currently on the current FPS experience? Now, you said before that you're not really an FPS player. You were more of an industrial player. So let's hear your opinion, because I know Vertigo is more of an everything player, but I know you do a lot of FPSs as well. So let's hear your sort of opinion on the current status, the goods and bads of FPS and Star Citizen.
Okay. I will play group setups with combat, typically with my org. But I will tell you, I do agree with the ASD and the Onyx and the new set pieces since 2024. The massive sprawling complexes. I'll make an argument with you, Vertigo. The ASD facilities, how they've gotten at least 2 wings. They could use at least 2 more to expand further into the story of the depravity of Dr. Yort. I am intrigued by that character. Thank you, Paul. I hate you. But I want a restricted weapons lab
Mhm.
segment,
Mm,
and maybe residential housing where like you have
Right.
storage and stuff. But to get to residential housing, you have to go through like restricted weapons, which may or may not have friendlies crawling around in it, and maybe a boss fight holding the
that
key.
I will
the
say
argument
that's
I would have.
Go ahead.
The argument against that axis would be I like how ASD, the Onyx facilities, were capped off. And by going through and adding more or redoing the facilities, you risk making it a worse experience overall. So an expansion to it would be nice because honestly, like Dr. Yort's story just kind of fizzled out. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly what the heck happened there. Like gameplay, unless you go, did they have more stuff off like the game, like on the website or something about
No.
Dr. Yort? Because
No, it's all Hyperion. Most of his stuff is in Hyperion. After if you
Yeah.
and it's also in audio logs you have to collect, and you have to kind of
yeah,
piece together the time, because like the weird part is Stormbreaker is after Onyx. Onyx is a prequel to Stormbreaker.
yeah, Onyx is a pretty cool Stormbreaker. So
Yeah.
I didn't do a lot of like exploration around Stormbreaker to get like a lot of their emails and whatnot. So maybe I just need to go back there and start instead of fighting the worm, just going through and getting all the audio logs from Stormbreaker then
Mhm.
to see what's going on there.
There's only 3. It's not that much. But
Okay.
the worst part is that Onyx is a prequel to Stormbreaker, and then you have Stormbreaker, and then you have Hyperion.
Yeah.
Hyperion is post Stormbreaker.
Oh, it
And-
is. Okay.
Yes. So Project Hyperion is partially pre Stormbreaker and partially post Stormbreaker.
Yeah, because Dr.
Um,
Yort came back and reactivated the lab.
Yes. So all those people you're fighting at in Hyperion are Dr. Yort's like mercenaries.
Yeah, his muscle.
Yeah. And but that's
Some of them are some of those people in ASD, the Onyx facilities, are like scavengers that
Yeah.
like crack this place open.
Most
Some
of
of them
them
are
are,
like
yeah.
Dr. Yort's. Yeah. But
Yeah.
the other when you get into Hyperion, it's like his actual bodyguards, the mercs he hired to protect him.
Yeah.
or ASD mercs of some kind, because there's also an
Yeah.
audio lab of the mercs getting overrun by something, and it's probably implied as being
Maybe there would just need to be a
Probably the dog of the
singular
Copians.
expansion, like
Copians.
like his private residence, where it's been abandoned and you find him dead. Like,
I don't-
and you don't know who did it.
They're gonna bring him back.
They're gonna bring him back.
He's
Yeah,
gonna
they've got to bring
show-
him back. I think they
Yeah.
have to bring him back. I think.
I will back up Axis in the sense that I do think that Hyperion could have used some sort of climactic ending, because it's just the end just sort of happens.
Yeah.
I know.
You shoot
You
some
activate the
lightning.
thing.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
shoot some lightning and you're done. And it's like they're building this up to like that freaking like Vandul pulls himself off of the wall, and then you have to fight an invincible or constantly regenerating Vandul or something like that. Like there should have been some
Yeah.
sort of event of like, oh, this is bad. What we did was mess something up or something
Yeah.
like that. You know?
I think the Armandi fight was supposed to be to cap that off, but then as you realize just how involved going through the Hyperion facility was, and they were like,
Yeah.
oh man, people are going to die, and they're going to have to like do a run back all the way to the end to get the
Yeah.
rewards, and people
I
are
feel
going to
like-
complain about it.
I feel like the Yermondi should have been between the very end, and like it should have been like a spot there where like you have to go through the Yermondi to get to the end, and that would have been at least
Yeah.
some sort of like gameplay wise, it'd feel like, oh yeah, I accomplished the goal. I had to fight through the last boss battle sort of thing. So
They
Mhm.
mentioned somewhere a boss battle, like something Project Samuel or something. I forget what it was.
yeah, they wanted to do something like that. So
And I can't remember what happened to that. Maybe it's for a part 3 we haven't seen yet.
I always think that what happened with Onyx was they had a big ambitious ideas for Onyx, and then the patch always pushes, so they just started cutting things that they couldn't get in, and the boss
Yeah.
battles is the one thing they haven't done yet, so they just don't have that like scripted out and written down, and they don't have a lot of that stuff done, so they just pulled it. So I do think that like I love the Onyx facilities. I love the story of Onyx and Hyperion. I think they're some of the best stories. Star Citizen has no stories. It's some of the best stories in Star Citizen, and Yord is one of the most fascinating characters in a universe of Star Citizen, simply because Yord is, as a character, a very gray coded character. He is doing things that are fundamentally helping humanity, but he's also a monster who's experimenting on people
Yeah.
and things because he thinks he's God. And he thinks he can save humanity. So it's
Got a
like,
God
The next step in human evolution. I'm
Exactly.
an engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to me.
and that's very much like the Star Citizen sort of gray zone of storytelling. Like, not everyone's good, not everyone's bad. Some people are well-meaning but incompetent, and some people are evil incarnate, but they're also just not powerful enough, and because people don't like them. The
Can't figure out if he's Albert Wesker or God, who would he be of
he's
Umbrella?
He's Frankenstein. Like, he's Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah,
that's
I was
his.
gonna say
Yeah,
it's
Dr.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
That's the vibe.
But
I
yeah,
always
he's
got from
Yeah,
it.
definitely
never go full Umbrella. Like
Yeah.
the Umbrella Corporation is just evil for the evil's sake. They just do the most awful crap you can imagine. I can't remember what the timeline is, but I think they've ended the world like twice
Yeah.
or something.
At least.
Like literally,
Why?
like the world has literally come to an end twice. Like once in the movies and then like once in the game, and it's just like,
It's-
like no, it's too evil. Like for Star Citizen, you can't have that.
I say I love Umbrella, but that's far too like but it's clear like the
I like a
facility-
little nuance, right?
Yeah. The Onyx facility is definitely heavily inspired by Resident Evil in terms of its layout and everything like that, though. It definitely has that sort of Umbrella effect to it. So
I would have loved to have him to have like built like a nice little like luxury palace on top of like the entrance to the facility, and then you actually have to like open it up and go deeper.
Spencer
and you realize...
Mansion 2.0.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Spencer Mansion.
the York
Not with-
mansion,
with-
you know,
without like
estate.
the stupid without the stupid puzzles in it where you have to find like crests and like gems and slot them in and masks and stuff.
Pharaoh had the VIP suite. Yes, the Pharaoh did have a VIP suite, and there is some fun stories in the VIP suite. Basically, it's ASD managers being like, "Yeah, we scammed the government out of billions of dollars, or billions of credits. You want to go on a date? Yeah, let's go on a date." That is literally one of the lore posts. Is two executives like ha, 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 we screwed the taxpayers. Let us go off and have sex. Like that is it is that vibes of like laughing at the peasants sort of thing. All right. Axis, was there any other positive things you want to say or negative things you want to say about FPS and move on to DZ?
Okay, one of the biggest failings for FPS, and this has been a sore spot for years for me, has been we have the successes of the current stuff, but the lackluster returning to the older materials. I'm going to go salty a little bit, Vertigo. Like the distribution centers, the old derelict outposts, the what's some other places, Paul?
Underground facilities. We want to talk about like 3.0.
Yes, there we
UGS.
go.
Those are the oldest like FPS experience in Star Citizen.
Now, of course, they are going to work on some of that. Didn't they just recently say something about the distribution centers like a week or two ago, Paul?
I vaguely remember something about distribution centers coming up recently.
They said
how they
something about
wanted
that.
to do more with them.
But yeah, they need to circle back, bring some new breath, breathe some new life in.
I will share my thoughts on that because I have to agree with you. But as I was going to say, this is like Ghost Hollow. Ghost Hollow is one of those places that was built, and same with like Security Parks Korea. They were both built for these ideas of being like, hey, we're going to do FPS here. And they just sort of abandoned them. And I think
I would argue that Security Post Korea was intentionally or intentionally ruined by CIG.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be like this area where you can have like FPS adventures outside your spaceship, but then CIG decided to like, oh, let's make it an actual place with security, and doing anything at Security Post Korea puts you immediately against NPC security that is just super overtuned and just not fun to fight because those turrets that are around Security Post Korea can solo a Idris.
Mm-hmm.
I should know. I brought an Idris there thinking it would be easy. They tore me apart. And then, of course, you have the NPC security on the inside. And if the comm array's up, you're going to get a ton of crime stat fighting those guys. If the comm array's down, some idiot's going to reactivate it, and then you're going to get a bunch of crime stat. It's just a gigantic pain in the butt to do anything at Security Post Korea.
Well, that's my point, is that if you took a Security Point Korea now with the dungeon aspects that they're trying to do, you could turn Security Post Korea into a illicit heist mission.
There is a heist mission there.
There is, but I mean, like in the same vein.
Nobody wants to do it because it's such a pain in the ass and doesn't give you any rewards.
But what I mean, like
that required for
multiple steps, like go to this location,
Yeah.
turn off the security feed so you can turn off the turrets, and then turn off this. And you've got a timer where it's like it's going to be down for like an hour after you've done this specific thing, so you don't get crime stats, and then you have to get in there and you have to disable like some other security aspects, like because it was when the new Correa was created, it was before they had multi-step missions. And now they have multi-step missions, and they just it suffers from that. And that's my point. It's like that they don't know what to do with Ghost Hollow at all, because Ghost Hollow is all just about making credits, and it needs to be something more than just making credits.
Yeah.
They could
The
make it a
one thing
full
I could
town.
suggest about Security Post Correa is just like move the comm array, the ability to turn the comm array off. Move that into Security Post Correa. Just have like a little side entrance where you can get into and you can turn the comm array off. And then if anybody wants to reactivate the comm array, they have to fight you for it.
Yeah.
That's Security Post Correa. That would make Security Post Correa 50% more interesting, in my opinion, and 20% less obnoxious to fight over.
Well, also they need stealth to work, because like you should be able to
Yeah.
stealth a ship in there without getting shot by those turrets. But
That
was
NPCs need to be able to respect stealth. That's the problem.
Players,
we're
self-worship players. It's just you sneak up to somebody where no one could hear you and or see you, and immediately an NPC turns around. It's like, you're right there. Like, what do you mean you're right there? I mean, you can't see me.
Well, it's stealth in ships as well. Like,
yeah. And
if you're in a stealth fighter and you fly up to a comm array, you're gonna get like 60 missiles fired at you because, like I said, NPCs don't have to respect stealth like players do.
Yep. All right, DZ, your thoughts, goods and bads of FPS.
So obviously the desync issue was everyone knows. I mean, if you watch the Star Citizen live the other day, and Jared just flat out calling Benoit at the end of it, to sort of come out, give us the details, tell us what's the crack. That's obvious. I haven't had too much of a bad experience with that, and recently I've been doing a lot more FPS because I'm sick of hauling and it bugging me out, or we're getting lost in the hangar, or the jump point to Nick's not working, whatever it may be. So like the precision strike missions, things like that, running the Pharaoh outposts in Pyro, looking for weapon attachments, things like that. All great content when it works. Perfect. The way the NPCs respond, the way the weapons feel at the moment I'm enjoying it. I've really enjoyed the Vandal Tech Smugglers mission, because that was like an actual challenge, but it was not like Stormbreaker where you need a full, decent. I took in, I think it was 3 of us, and it was like challenging, but not. And it added in, that's where I got the worst instance of desync. We EVA'd over to the Polaris, and it was just spray and pray. The walls are bugging out, everything's a mess, But for me, it's that you either take a mission, or it's the only sort of exploration gameplay that's available at the moment. Like if you go to Pyro and you just hop in from site to site, seeing what you find. You might have some enemies, you might find some components, you might find some attachments. So I think it's the only sort of experience of exploration I have at the moment in the game, because that's something obviously I want in the future. I want to go off to these random places, I want to have my drones and my scanning and all that kind of stuff, and find these unique areas that have this gear and things like that. But currently I feel like they just need, like it was touched on, I think Vertigo and Axis both said it, obviously like that boss battle, like the Normandy, I did that fight, got my teeth kicked in. You know what I mean? First time we went in, it was just, oh, right, the door's locked. It's kind of like, this is my self-enclosed. Sort of like WoW, when you have like Gruul's Lair, it was just a one-boss dungeon, a one-boss raid. You're here, you kill it, but there was no point in doing it. That was the thing for me. So I feel like they need to work out a way to sort of roll all that together and incentivize it, essentially. The gameplay itself, like I say, to me, there's not enough information, I suppose, in game on why you need to pick certain attachments, or where you get certain attachments, or why this is a better loadout and things like that. So it's not natural for a new player as such to sort of go buy, you just go buy a weapon and go, oh cool, here's a silencer, here's a new scope, cool. But then people who are hardcore into the FPS gameplay know you have to go search these places in
Yeah,
Pyro,
you
find
end up
these
having to go
specific.
like word of mouth to find attachments, and that's
Yeah,
something kind of irritates me too.
yeah,
With crafting coming out, we'll eventually just be able to craft like attachments and just buy those from people from like a
yeah,
in-game trade system. That's what the whole Banu
absolutely.
merchant was supposed to be for. Is like people
Yeah,
go around, they buy
Wicklow.
stuff that's
yeah,
not
Wicklow,
not
yeah.
Wicklow, the actual ship, right? The Kraken privateer, the Banu merchantman.
Yeah,
People are supposed to go around, buy a bunch of stuff up, and then they set down. Players and NPCs come and buy stuff from them, right? That's
Yeah.
the whole idea behind that.
Player
So
And
trade.
that's,
lately.
and, yeah, and that's it. That was my dream of Star Citizen when all my mates, well, most of them never got into it in the end, but the few that have stuck around, I was the weirdo because I wanted to have a Kraken with my own supermarket and my mall, and here's
The
my
Kmart.
high end. Yeah, exactly. Here's all the weapons I've crafted. They're better than yours. Come to me, that kind of thing. So but it's like you say, crafting's going to change everything again. But I'm looking forward to seeing how it does change, because obviously going out and hunting for these attachments and all the high grade components and things like that is a fun loop for me, and it's something I've been enjoying recently. So I hope crafting doesn't hit that too much, but obviously the CRJ are going to have to find that balance of crafting versus loot sort of thing. So
I'm gonna take a little bit of a different stance. I thought Vertigo's gonna be salty on this one. I don't currently like how the gunplay handles. I'm willing to see how the gunplay works because Squadron. I'm sure there's some updates and changes they made with Squadron for the gunplay, but I don't agree with people who say that it's like Call of Duty, because I don't think it's Call of Duty. But there are always going to be higher time to kill ratios because Star Citizen is an MMO. So like you can't do Arma where you can just like two tap somebody and they're down and then they like are done, because that's not fun. You need to have more statuses.
I'm gonna stop you right there because you mentioned the F word.
Yeah.
It's fun for somebody, right? There's the people who are willing to pay. There's willing to pay for people who are willing to pay for the access to that fun, and there's people who are not going to pay for that fun. And CIG has already been taking money from a certain group of people, and those certain group of people may not find that Arma gameplay fun.
Yeah,
that's what's kind of like guiding development here, folks. Is CIG has a customer base that buys stuff from them, and CIG has to keep that customer base happy. So that's why we're going in a direction. And sorry, Paul, to interrupt you there, but you mentioned the fun word. We have to mention fun is subjective.
It's subjective, but I also think that there's the thing to keep in mind. It's not just purely financial. I'm sure the CIG developers themselves have an idea of what they want to do for that. The problem is that they haven't said what it is. They haven't really fully articulated it, and a lot of times they may not be able to. Because like, how do you say, oh, this is the kind of thing I'm going for, unless you point out another game? And if you, no matter what game you point out that your inspiration from, someone's going to go, oh, it's just going to be an arcade shooter. Oh, it's just going to be super hardcore and clunky. Like, no matter what you do, you're never going to make everyone happy. So it's more of a just shut up and make your game.
And they talked about that when they did the live stream, the FPS live stream. The other day, and they were talking about the new sprint animation that they're bringing to Squadron 42, eventually coming to Star Citizen, which is going to be that raised weapon sprint you see in a lot of modern games like Battlefield 2042, Battlefield 6, Call of Duty Warzone. It's like you have like a move fast button where you sprint just a little bit, then you have like, if you double tap sprint, you can like sprint even faster with your gun up in the air. And I saw a thread on Reddit of someone complaining about, oh my god, it's just going to be Call of Duty. I don't want to play Call of Duty. I'm just like, there's plenty of games that are doing that sort of thing these days. It's fine. It's just kind of like the style of the time. It's like we used to put onions in our belt, and that was the style at the time.
That's
Simpson quote.
Well, he also talked about how adding more weapon sway, because like right now when you move and you stop, your gun goes directly in front of you. It's just like it perfectly stops right in front of you. There is no sway with movement. There's no cost to
a little bit more inertia to your guns. When you're coming to a stand, we're raising your gun up to aim down sights. You're gonna have a little bit more. You have to wait for your gun to kind of settle a little bit. When you come from a dead sprint, you're gonna have to wait for your gun to kind of settle before you can aim at.
Yeah, right now.
Well, they said that in the live stream, didn't they? The new polished FPS experience and animations, like sprinting whilst healing and sprinting whilst reloading, and apparently, well, they sold it, said it was sick and beautiful, and it's the most amazing thing they'd ever seen. So obviously, Squadron, and obviously like aiming over cover and things like that with all things they've been aware of and are changing when and where we see that in SC. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things like other add-ons, like medical. Medical needs to be changed a little bit, and they talked about how they're going to change the down state. I wonder if they're going to do 3 down states where you've got dead, downed, and crawling. Where like because right now they talked about how
I think it's just gonna be 2.
well because they said
Yeah.
you're gonna have a state where you can crawl around but you're down, and you
Yeah.
can revive yourself if you've got the adrenopen, the
Yeah.
adrenaline pen, to get you back up.
Wasn't there a state as well where another player had to revive you with the
That-
adreno pen? Is that when you're down but not crawling? Is that like
That-
so? Is
yeah.
that
I
a
think
third state?
down and crawling is going to be the state we have now.
Yeah.
And then you shoot
if-
somebody from the crawling state, and then they're just done. They're back to respawn.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to be 2.
But I also think
You get
that
shot,
it's,
you go into a crawling state, and then you get shot again. You're done. So
Yeah.
and I think that if you don't have a adrenopen, then you have somebody else who has a adrenopen who hits you and gets you back
Yeah.
up.
And
So,
I saw another complaint thread on this on Reddit. I'm gonna own up to a mistake because I was calling this guy out who posted a screenshot, a little snippet from a Discord about a quote from the live stream that I hadn't watched at that time,
Mhm.
and I was looking to see where that quote came from. I looked on the forums, the official forums. I looked on Blue Sky. I was looking everywhere to see, some of the other Discords, and I couldn't find where this quote was from. And I'm like, this guy just making shit up, or is he just like, I can't, Dev Tracker, there's nothing on it on the forum, the official stuff. And it turned out it was a quote from a aggregate Discord. I think it was like the, what is the pipeline? I think
Mhm.
someone had summarized the live stream, and they took a quote from there. And everybody was really mad because the quote misquoted the live stream as med pens were going to revive people. But
yeah,
I watched the live stream, and they specifically said it was going to be a different pen.
yeah, the
It was going to be the
adrenopen.
Adrenopen.
Adreno
Yeah.
pen, yeah.
And everybody in that Reddit thread was really mad because med pens were super common. They're everywhere. Everybody uses them. Self revive. It's going to be super arcadey. And no, you're going to have to make a tactical decision. Do you keep a med pen on your hip at all times just to recover from being downed, or do you keep 4 med pens on your hip? Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tactical choice, like to have a self revive option on you. And of course, the self revive is probably going to take a little bit. A lot of games do that, where the self revive usually takes a little bit, and then
Mhm.
you stand back up. And then, do you carry 4 self revive pens on you, or do
Yeah.
you carry? Do
2.
you just
Well,
plan for failure, right?
Yeah, well, if you've got your med gun, obviously it's got its own slot in the inventory. Then yeah, you 4 self revives. Who wouldn't? If that's
But
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
one the one thing I want to see CIG do with the med gun is make the med gun a little bit more. Well, the med gun's kind of awkward to use right now, but it's kind of a bug. I'd rather
Yeah.
have the med gun be a little bit slower to use for self heal. That way you can't just because right
Like
now you
heal
can
over
actually
time?
walk through. A little bit more of heal over time because right now you can actually like kind of out tank damage unless you get like a lot of headshots on people.
Yeah.
Um,
If someone's running around with like healing themselves running,
Yeah.
I think there's a couple
Yeah.
things they could do, like remove the ability for you to self heal while moving, so you'd have to
Flinch.
stop.
if you take damage while
you
healing with the
flinch.
med gun, it causes you flinch out of the healing
Or
animation.
drop
Another-
your gunny.
and also remove the auto function, because I think the auto
Mhm.
function sucks. Like you should know how
Yeah.
much you're dosing yourself.
Yeah, that would actually like make a medical an actual medic in your squad have to like know what settings they need to
Yeah.
actually heal you.
And if you
Like
have a
actually have to
medic,
drop.
if you have medic armor, then you can have the auto function with
Yeah.
the pen because it can sync with the pen with the gun, so you can do it. So then you
Yeah.
have somebody with a medic
Yeah.
armor who can do that.
I mean, we have medical armor now. Why not give the medical armor that innate
Well,
ability?
They talked about that in that live stream that they do want
Yeah.
to do that, but it's just not yet. Is what's going
Not
to
there
happen.
yet.
And those are some of the problems I have, and I know someone in chat was saying like, well, you have slide and you have what was the other ones they said? Like people saying it's Call of Duty because it's going to have slide
Mhm.
and
Self revive, sliding self revive.
Yeah.
Other stuff.
Those and sniper glint. Sniper glint I think is
Yeah.
dumb, but I also think that my solution to the sniper glint is people would hate even more because my solution is FPS scanning, Just give somebody who's a specialist scanner a bigger scanner so they can find snipers much easier. And people are like, that's arcade. It's like it's sci-fi. It's the future. Let people.
It's future.
Yeah. Let
That's it,
people.
yeah.
I
Let people-
mean,
And that's the other thing that I think a lot of people are not going to like, which is they're going to have to increase time to kill, which means it's going to be longer to die. And it's not realistic.
God,
It's like, but it
Paul.
doesn't matter because it's like a better gameplay, but also more engaging because you can have people forced to disengage and re-engage somewhere else because they're like, we're out of.
let's
You know.
we could talk about longer time to kill and like some of the old boomer shooters like back
Yeah.
in the day, like Unreal, Quake 3. People like, but Quake 3 had the railgun and the rock. No, you'd be surprised how much damage you can take in Quake 3 and Unreal, especially considering how fast you can get going. If you could watch some of the high end people play like Quake 3, and it's just like the time to kill is like super low. But if you're not that good, like you're spraying bullets everywhere, especially if
Yeah.
you have like the starter machine gun in like Quake 3. But on PlanetSide had a fairly long time to kill.
Yeah.
Like those games tend to not do as well these days. A lot of and the reason why, I hate to admit this, the reason why a lot of modern FPS games tend to have a very shorter time to kill is because if you're bad at the game and you get the drop on somebody, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you get the drop on somebody, you can secure that kill in just
Yeah.
a handful of bullets.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of modern shooters have a very short time to kill, because everybody enjoys that dopamine hit of getting that elimination and seeing their kill death ratio go up.
Yeah.
And in a game with a longer time to kill, you have to hit the majority of your magazine to actually take someone out. If you have to reload and load a second that second magazine in your P4AR to kill somebody, that person who hits you with the entire magazine is going to win.
Yeah. Whoever jumps
that
first
firefight.
wins, basically. But it's
Yeah, it's
Whoever-
more of a
whoever
skill
hits-
check, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a skill check. So whoever hits the majority of their shots without having to reload wins the firefight in a game that has a much longer time to kill.
But the other thing about those games, those older games, was that you had insta respawn or like 5-second respawn.
Yes.
You're back in the game.
Yeah.
Unreal, Quake, yeah,
You
you're,
don't
you're
have
right
that.
back into it.
You don't have that with Star Citizen. Like that's one of the
Well,
reasons why
Paul,
they need that.
Apollo, Pisces, Ursa Rover, Polaris, Idris.
But like you have to plan ahead for those. You have to
Mhm.
you have to set yourself up properly, and you still lose a bunch of gear. And it's more of there's more punishment for death than there is in those games. Even in version 1.0 Star Citizen is going to have a lot more punishment with things like that.
And actually, we actually discovered that today in Nyx. Because of the way Nyx is set up right now, a lot of the interesting missions and whatnot are actually really far away from Levski and some of the home stations you can be set at. So it's actually you're incentivized to actually bring a medical bed with respawn capabilities with you to the Rockcracker dungeons.
Well, yeah, and there's actually a medical bed at Rockcracker that you can send to
Only
regen
if you have the private mission that you paid money for.
on. Oh,
If
really?
you just show up like I did, door's locked.
Okay.
We found that out today.
That makes
Oh,
sense. Yeah.
really?
Yeah. I tried to
Yeah.
clip through the door, but CIGs did a good job fixing that.
So
For those who are upset about the door clipping, CIGs is working on fixing the door clipping. They haven't fixed it all, but they've fixed quite a few of them.
So the main thing that I will say, we'll finish up, and then we'll get into like the future of FPS where CIG needs to go,
Mhm.
because we're already kind of 43 minutes into the discussion. We've kind of jumped on this a little bit already. Is that I do like the direction they're going in the sense of what they're talking about with Squadron 42, because I feel like Star Citizen needs to hit a balance between squad and battlefield.
Mhm.
Squad is a little bit more patient. It's a little bit less like arcadey than Battlefield, because it's literally based off of the Project Reality team who did Battlefield 2 Project Reality. But Squad is also a lot more fast paced than say Arma.
Mhm.
There's a lot
Yeah.
more of that sort
Unfortunately, I haven't played Squad, so I have no basis
references for it.
talking
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, no
It's-
references for Squad.
It's like if you took Arma and you put it in a Battlefield map.
Okay, so it's
So-
a little bit more arcadey version of Arma.
Yes, but it's still
Essentially.
considered a little bit more realistic than most modern shooters. There's a lot
Okay.
more effects that are similar to Arma. But
Kind of like Budweiser versus Bud Light. Arma is like Budweiser, and then Squad is like Bud Light.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And there's a lot of if you played the Starship Troopers game, the one that came out, the official one, the 32 person game.
Oh no, not that one. No.
Because the official one that came out is actually made. It's a Squad club. It's literally made with Squad, the Squad engine, but it was based off of a mod for Squad with Starship Troopers. They decided to spin it into its own game, but it's built by the same people. And that's a good one for people who've played it. That's sort of the direction that I think Star Citizen should go, to a degree. Maps are pretty big. Dying can be a pretty big punishment, but they're not so big that you don't get in pretty quickly, and it's fairly easy to tank through some damage as long as you're smart about it. But I do think that means you're going to go for some science fiction, like reality that I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't want Call of Duty. It's like you're going to get some flavor of Call of Duty simply because of aesthetics. Because you were talking about modern parlance of how people do things.
Not realism, Paul. When we try to talk, when I try to talk to people about Star Citizen, I don't mention realism. I mention like intuitiveness,
immersion.
Right?
Yeah.
No, you want stuff. You don't want stuff to be realistic. You want it to be intuitive. You want to take things that people already know, and you want to put that stuff into your game so people if you put a key into the ignition of a car in the game and you turn the key, it starts the car, right? And it drives. Put gas in the fuel tank and you can drive farther. That kind of stuff. When you start making up weird stuff for your game, it's not intuitive and you start losing people. And the best way to make FPS gameplay and is it intuitive is to borrow stuff from other games
that people already know about.
Right.
Yeah.
People know how to slide in Call of Duty, so we'll use Call of Duty sliding. People already know how to, jump around quarters in Counter-Strike, so we'll do that in our game.
It needs to entice people in with its familiarity before you then to open the door, doesn't it? Just to get them in and go, this part of the game is essentially Call of Duty, so I can do that to start, make some money, and then perhaps I'll look at this. And that's, how it's going to have to sway people, isn't it? I think,
Not a lot of games fly like the spaceships in Star Citizen, mining, salvaging, spaceship combats, repairing and whatnot. That's going to be a huge hurdle for CIG to get people to swallow. But having something that is easy to digest when you introduce people in for SPS gameplay, people won't object to the first 30 minutes, right? Or if they can't do the flying, they'll be like, oh, well, I'll just do like DZ says. They'll just stick to FPS for a little while, and then they'll pick up something else later, right?
Yeah, that's it. And if I know we'll probably touch on it of what was in that Star Citizen Live, if they start bringing in the sort of class armor, because obviously Star Citizen doesn't have a leveling process, it doesn't have a class system, so if you can now specialize within the FPS gameplay, whether it's medical, whether you're the engineer archetype or the stealth guy or the sniper, that kind of thing, it opens up a lot more variety and diversity within the FPS combat thing, which I think obviously if the combat itself is just familiar, it's like Call of Duty, it opens up everyone to experience what else Star Citizen's trying to do differently.
It reduces the friction to the learning curve, right? It flattens that learning curve out, reduces the friction to entry, the barrier to entry lowers that in. And because Star Citizen's a fairly complex game. I have thousands of hours in Star Citizen, and I think I know everything. And occasionally I find like new weird stuff every so often.
I literally
I don't know.
I discovered today. Do you know that when you hold, when you're aiming down sights with all guns, if you hold shift, you hold your breath, so it stabilizes your gun?
Yeah.
I didn't know
spotted that the other day. Yeah. With the
I thought it was only did that with snipers. You do it with all guns. You hold shift, it'll stabilize.
Oh, I didn't know it was all guns.
It's all guns, even pistols. You hold shift, you can actually hear your character go, and then it stabilizes it. I didn't know that. Like I thought it was just like because I know the sway matters and like the climb matters depending on your stance. Like if you're kneeling, you have a better control, and you're prone, you better control. But I didn't know that the shift works for all guns. Because it's typically in an FPS, you do that for like snipers. They have that option where you hold shift and it does that. So, but yeah, that's a good example of like, I didn't know that. I've been playing this game and playing FPS in this game since the Star Marine first came out. Like I've been doing this game for a decade and I didn't know that was a thing. So Um, all right, let's move on to the last thing, which is like the future. We talked a little bit about this already, but where
Mhm.
is and I'll ask the last question at the very end, which is, is Star Citizen actually just an FPS game and they've just completely forgotten about all the other aspects, as some people have claimed. The question I have is uh, the future of the game. What would you like to see in the future of Star Citizen for FPS? And DZ, I'll start with you on this one. Based off what we've seen them talk about, what do you think they need to do in
Yeah.
the near to long term with FPS gameplay?
So I think it ties into what we were saying about the time to kill sort of thing. I liked that they've said that they were all the archetypes of the armor and the changes that's coming in that, and like the medic armor, so you can see everyone's health pool, what tier armors they've got. I would like to have seen some mention of whether that medic character can heal like tier injuries and stuff like that. I think that would have been a nice, there needs to be that. Can't remember the guy's name who was on the SCL, but he said obviously what he can and can't do. He's got stats he can implement, but what special features can they add? As in, like, so can the medic heal, run up to a guy and pop his arm back in place, that kind of thing. I think that needs to be something that's addressed because obviously I know everyone's pretty disappointed with medical gameplay. So I liked the different styles of armor and things like that. The EVA armor thing, and the EVA backpack wasn't totally sold on that idea. I know that's going to rub people up the wrong way, but again, it depends how the whole class system the
Functions.
armor specialization functions all pans out really. The new weapons and stuff, obviously they said the crossbow. I mean, every game's got a crossbow, don't they? Really, it has to happen at some point. I liked the idea of a lever action rifle, like a Winchester repeated rifle, like someone just
Mhm.
like, get off my porch, like
Yeah.
on your little on your little farmstead, and you've got your own base and you sat there and
I
you're
mean,
rocking.
honestly, I think it's a fine idea to have like really old guns. Starfield did that
Yeah,
too with like
Mhm.
some of its old Earth guns. They'd have like where like they had like really high tech like shotguns and whatnot from like modern day Earth, like our
yeah,
our timeline, right? As modern day guns from here, and they ported them over to Starfield as like relics, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought that was
absolutely.
pretty cute.
I like that. I like that. It's a bit of style, you know what I mean? And everyone loves style points. The end game of every MMO is cosmetics, so that's always going to look. Yeah, it's fashion, so it's always going to be a thing. I liked. I'm looking forward to seeing the med gun, the pistol, like shooting someone. Like feel better, dude. Bang, here you go, like from across the room. So is that how a bit of actual finesse and tactics required basically to do medics? So I think that's the big thing for me is that medical gameplay needs to be improved and be intrinsic with the state of the FPS. Obviously, all the additions, the smooth lining and stuff that's going to be in Squadron coming into the game, fantastic. If it looks better, plays better, feels better, then excellent. And then there's the super heavy armor. Like, are we getting? I mean, I'm a Warhammer fan. Are we? Are we getting Astartes? Are we going to have 9 foot tall superhumans?
I think it's just gonna be the
Carrying.
max suit from PlanetSide.
It is, I mean, actually
Yeah,
from PlanetSide too, but it's
you know.
basically, I mean, as a fellow Warhammer fan,
Yes.
I it's probably going to be more like this crisis suit, the Tau crisis suit, than
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah. And
But
obviously the limitations that had, and again that ties into what I was saying about wanting more improved medical gameplay because he said that guy's going to need support.
yeah,
Obviously, chained up with a huge railgun, whatever it may be. Some dude's going to have to be his spotter. Does he need help with just healing? Is it reloading? Is it what is that super heavy going to be in Star Citizen? Because obviously there's a lot out there in sci-fi and fantasy on what these sort of juggernaut sort of characters will be. So it'd be interesting to see what that brings. But yeah, I think Squadron obviously is going to be your FPS sort of solo gameplay. As long as that plays well, and then they pour that all into SC, then I'm hopeful. I wasn't as I enjoyed that live. I thought it had some good information and it makes me a little bit hopeful for the future, I would say.
all right. Axis, your thoughts on the future and like where you would like to see Star Citizen's FPS go?
Okay. Even though I'm not much of a combat player, I like to have weapon variety. Right now, we just have guns, grenades, and maybe knives, right? More or less.
Mhm.
You remember about what was it? Several. God, what is it? It's been about a year. There was an earlier ISC where they showcased what looked like clubs
Mm-hmm.
and physical weapons.
I remember the
Melee
Vandal
weapons, yeah.
spears they showed off. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Vandal spears.
They did this like kind of interesting expose into the FPS weapons team, and like that was the one where they had the like what looked like a mini gun that was like clearly designed to like you hold like this when you fire it, and I was like, is that a Titan suit weapon? Like there were certain weapons they were showing off in they
Yeah,
were
the
working
Titan
on.
suit one was there, and it clearly looked like it was a hard point weapon.
Yeah, where you like
you would
attached it to an
slot it
arm.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to see more like large scale weapons, I guess. Not just FPS one person weapons. Who here has played Star Wars Rebel Assault, Rebel Strike 3 on the
We're talking about
GameCube?
crew served weapons.
Yeah,
Two
like
people?
crew service weapons, like
Oh,
setup
like-
weapons where you could temporary setups, like where you could set up a tripod stand or something.
Okay.
Right,
Where
right,
you have
yeah.
someone to set up a large caliber turret, like from a deployable standpoint.
I
It'd be
could
a
totally
super-
see CIG doing that. You literally
Yeah.
have a box that
Yeah.
you can carry, like a 1 SU box. You can kick out of the back of like a tumbler cyclone or something. And it pops into like a size 2 Gatling cannon or something.
Or
Yeah.
like a backpack that you can pull off your backpack and put it down, and then it sets up a
It prints
crew
out a
weapon.
gun, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
print out a gun. It just
Yeah.
it just unfurls into a gun, like a box that opens up, and you can like pull out the like gun itself to mount it and such.
It'd be
Maybe the super
outgunned.
heavy armor can just rip the Rhino repeater off an arrow and just
Yeah.
start pumping lead.
It would be upgunned just like the because it's technically a specialty weapon. It'd be like the Nova Tank kind of. You know how the Nova Tank's technically a size 7 impact over a size 4 gun, is it? When it hits, I'm sure chat will correct me. It's got
like
an upscale
the Nova.
damage.
Oh, the Nova cannon, the Slayer cannon. Yeah, on the Nova. Yeah, it's a size 4, but it hits like a size 5 or 6. I think so. Yeah, you're talking about.
So these would be like size 1 guns, but there might be 2 different versions, like a single turret, like a single gun, Slayer size 5. There it is. And there might be a double barrel. There might be 3 versions, Paul, because CIG likes variants. There might be a quad cannon that you could deploy. Oh, that'd be nasty coming into an LZ. A double barrel, and then a single large gun. Now, a single large gun would have an attribute of being easier to deploy, but maybe not as good of coverage. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The quad gun, harder to deploy, but it hits things much quicker with more ammo being dumped into the target, right?
Yeah.
Makes more sense, right, guys? From
Yeah,
any
it's
other
kind of-
perspective?
It's kind of like the side mounted Gatling guns on like the Starlance attack, is it?
Yeah.
Doesn't that have like the like Apache helicopter side
The,
cannons?
the Cutty
you know.
steel.
Yeah. So it's almost like just saying, all right, well, we're dropping in with the tack.
I
Everyone
could see
jump out, and the
Drake
last dude
producing
grabs the
something like that.
turret kind of thing as well.
Mhm.
Speaking of that, I could see them literally making those disconnect from the
That's good.
cutlass steel and actually being useful. And
I
then
remember the first time-
flamethrowers.
I remember the
flamethrowers.
first time the Cutty Steel released, and we tried those side-mounted guns, and as soon as you accelerated just a little bit, you fell off the gun.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And you're lucky you have to
Yeah.
fall into the ship and not out of the ship.
Yeah,
When you did
Yeah,
so.
you could literally just fall if you're on the right side of the ship and someone strafes to the left, you fall outside the ship.
I'll
using that
finish
gun.
this up, Paul, with a couple of hopeful weapons.
Mhm.
Flame-based weaponry, like a flamethrower, some sort of thermal weapon. Grenades that stun, some sort of stun bullet rifle, for obviously bounty hunting V2, like a long-range sniper rifle, something for like the God, what are those sniper guns? Name me some. Like a specialty bullet you could put in the AO3, the other
You're
one.
talking like a super long distance sniper, or
Print guns, the Etsikov. There we go.
Yeah.
Like fire it off and knock out your target. Scalpel. There we go. Thank you, Escape. You were wonderful. And maybe swords. I'm not saying broadsword. I'm saying like short, maybe because we don't need.
You know my stance on that. Like, give me a boarding axe and a ballistic shield, and I'll be a happy guy.
They may give us energy shields based on the deployable stuff.
Yeah,
So
well,
why not
that
energy
was-
swords?
that was
Go
mentioned,
full
wasn't
Halo
it?
if we're gonna go
It's a
Halo.
gadget that they're working on. So
yeah, the
Oh.
deployable shield was mentioned, wasn't it? I can't remember what other gadgets.
I'm
they
just
said,
saying,
but
go
that
full
was-
Halo if you're going to give us stuff.
yeah,
Well,
The gauntlet.
that's what
thing.
Squadron's going to be compared to, isn't it? Really.
Mhm.
So if it's going to have
Whatever that
similarities,
gauntlet thing is from Halo, I forget what the Covenant used. The double
Oh.
double sickle sword on the side.
oh, the
No,
energy
the energy sword.
like
Yeah,
just,
the energy sword.
yeah. Lunge from about 10 meters away and get one instant kill. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, those things are lethal.
So you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
looking. So you're looking for like just more variety, more than just pistols, SMGs, shotguns, rifles. You want like melee weapons. You want crew service weapons. You want like heavy weapons. You said flamethrower. Like just more variety in game guns rather than
Right.
just what we
The
have.
tripod and turret would have a use for protecting like building sites,
Or
like
yeah,
while you're setting up.
you don't have
you
all of
know-
your defenses built yet, so you have some temporary defenses established. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you have a temp setup. Maybe there's an automated version once you get it fully established with a blade, but it's still limited targeting, right? Vertigo, not full automated, but within a certain
Oh, so
distance,
yeah,
and maybe a
like an engineer from Team Fortress 2, sort of like dropping
Yeah.
those turrets down. I can see that too. Yeah.
yeah.
Vertigo.
Might have to do some engineering. Yeah.
All right, what are we talking about?
Future.
We've been
What do
going
you-
so long on Axis things. Futures. Okay.
The future. We were actually just talking about. Like, what are you looking for towards the future for Star Citizen in terms of FPS? What do you want to see it become?
Like, oh man, trying to think about what I would like to see in the future. Besides like them fixing the netcode, definitely more variety in equipment. Love to see more equipment variety. Smoke grenades. Yeah, the one thing that I almost always carried in any instance of Battlefield that allowed me to was smoke grenades.
Mhm.
Because I always liked being able to move around the battlefield, and smoke grenades are a great thing to throw out to like stop people from shooting at you. If they can't see you, they can't shoot you, or unless they're hacking. But we definitely need actual smoke grenades in Star Citizen, or at least hacking grenades that like distraction grenades, more grenades, more equipment to kind of change how the battlefield works and how it plays out. I would love to have like some sort of like jamming grenade for like ships. You know, oh god,
chaff grenade, like in Metal Gear Solid.
No, hold on a second. But you're good. That's a good one, right? Metal Gear Solid chaff grenades. I'm gonna say this because I'm rage baiting, but I'm half serious about this. We
Touch
need
the third rail.
spellcasting.
Touch the third rail.
We're-
Go for it.
Yes.
Third rail is being touched right now. We need spellcasters in Star Citizen.
Oh my god, you want to go outlaw star route? Okay.
No.
No.
Well, we need some sort of like the ability to cast like stuff like jamming. People would call it electronic warfare in Star Citizen,
Yeah.
but like a spellcaster role, like the ability to like
A
jam
Netrunner.
radar.
A net runner.
Yeah.
You're talking like
Netrunner.
a Netrunner or a tech priest or something
Yeah,
from
tech
like
priest or something.
Warhammer, and
You could change how the battlefield works. You can open lock doors with like your hacking tools or something. You can jam
It's-
radar. Or
It's like Batman's guy in the chair, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
you know, like a superhero's tech guy. Oh, you need that door open. Let me hack the system. But except it's some
Yeah.
guy
I
sat
didn't-
with his laptop in the corner, like.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that is basically like a wizard role. The hacker would be like would work like a wizard in an MMO, or like a spellcaster in an MMO, where like they're vulnerable because they have to carry this equipment and they can't.
I mean,
be in
yeah,
the front
I mean, there's-
line, but they're like, now you're all
Yeah.
debuffed, you know, like
Yeah.
you're all moving slower.
I mean,
now,
like
you know?
if you think about it, D&D has a lot of crossover with like Call of Duty. Like in you have wizards in Dungeons and Dragons, and you have wizards in Call of Duty. Except the wizards in Call of Duty, they don't cast magic missile; they cast actual missile.
Yeah.
Right. and instead of fireball, we throw napalm. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that leads to another thing that I'd like to see, which is designated or like a what do they call them? Like target designators. So you could have you could have a ship fire a missile, and you could guide the missile in through a targeting, so that you can like take out a target much faster. I cast AC-130.
I cast AC-130. I would like to see like some sort of laser designator for like guiding and stuff. That'd be great.
I was going to say like a sniper's spotter, or what support roles are they going to look like?
Or like a grenade that you can throw that you can target. It's like a targeting grenade where you can like throw a target throw it into an area, and a missile can like lock onto that.
Technically, we already have that. Believe it or not, Paul, because I remember watching Black Hawk Down, and they wanted to call in a airstrike or like a little bird strafing,
and they threw it on smoke. They had like the IR strobe.
They had the IR grenade. You pull the pin on it, and it just emits infrared light, and they can see that through their night vision goggles. So they had to throw that on top of a building, so they knew which building to strafe with the miniguns.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I've you've seen it in movies and television show as well. Like on the smoke, fire on this smoke. So you throw the smoke in the location, so they know. Oh, that's where I need to shoot. But the purple smoke is target.
We technically have a target designator in Star Citizen right now, except nobody thinks to use it as one. It's the rescue beacon. You can see the light from that thing from 2 kilometers away.
There you go. But you can
light that thing up and throw it.
Yeah. But you could do something like that. But I mean, like more of a mechanical way, something that a missile would track onto.
A grenade launcher or something,
yeah.
A round feed push up to the grenade launcher.
Like Hellfire missiles, things like that, just abracadabra Hellfire missiles.
You guys just gave me some terrible ideas.
Well,
you keep them to yourself. Let's go to the questions and answer section.
Well, let me finish off with mine, because there's actually one more question I want to ask all of you, which will be a pretty quick one. But I do think that I want to see what Squadron 42 when they add from Squadron 42 to see what goes on there. But I do think that adding more combined arms stuff. I want vehicles to matter in FPS. I want to see take a vehicle and be like, I am at an advantage, a fundamental advantage, because I have a vehicle. If I have an MTC or whatever the one that has the manable gun, if I have that,
the TR, the MT.
Yeah, like the one that's like, hey, I'm screwed now. That there's a vehicle there. I'm gonna have to have an anti-vehicle weapon to be able to take care of it, because otherwise they're just gonna chew me up and spit me out. Like, I want.
I mean, and if they don't rebalance the boom tube, then that's an anti-vehicle weapon, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
the boom tube right now is an anti-ship weapon.
Anti-ship weapon, yeah. But like, you're right. You need to give a reason to care about ground vehicles. You're right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The big problem with ground vehicles is they're just so awkward to use to actually even get to the battlefield. And once you get them to the battlefield, they're just a nightmare to even operate most of the time.
And if you ever shot like even an NPC with a like a vehicle weapon?
Yes, I have. It's not very fun.
You shoot them with a size 3 or size 4, and they get up. You hit them straight in the face, and they just get up. They shrug it off like nothing hit them. It's like, this thing should have blown this person to chunks. It's a weapon designed to hit like Connies. This thing should not be. It should be shrugged off by FPS AI, and that's another one of those problems.
Yeah.
So we should be able to use them to control the battlefield, a specific area, like sectioning off with your ground vehicles. You've got anti-air vehicles. You've got ground support vehicles, medic station, blah blah blah. You should be able to set up a mobile command center for ground ops, and that's what all of these different specific vehicles should do. But currently, it's just not worth the effort.
I did take a Nursa rover to Hathor, and that was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had with a ground vehicle. Because Hathor is flat enough and smoothed over enough. The surface is flat, and there's not a lot of rocks or anything, branches and whatnot to drive over. So you can actually just drive around Hathor and shoot NPCs all day with the Nursa rover. And I believe the Nursa has shields on it. At least it's tough enough to like repel FPS firepower. And you can respawn in it, and you can have like a little storage compartment back there for carrying loot with you. The problem is Hathor, enemy ships will show up and just blow you up.
Yeah.
Unless you have to park the Nurser Rover in a very specific spot so it can't get shot at.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's
but
what
it
I was
was
doing
nice.
the Pharaoh systems as well with the Nurser. It's just, yeah, because you avoid the turrets, park kilometre away, bomb over, you got everything you need. Yeah, it's all good. It's the only use I've had for one, really, a ground vehicle. Did steal someone's Dragonfly or whatever it's called once because I had to run from somewhere. But other than that,
occasionally I'll use a Dragonfly. Back when like last week I was using a Pulse.
Oh yeah,
I was using and not for what you think it was. I was using a Pulse with the Moth. Intentionally using the Pulse with the Moth because if you're salvaging with the Moth and you want to salvage ships that are inside gravity, like on an outpost or something, or just like abandoned on the ground on a moon or a planet, how do you get into some ships if they're like the Constellation, for example? Like we found out later how we could. You can shoot the ramps, you can shoot the elevators on the Connie if you have a gun big enough, and damage them so they open up, and then get on top of them, and then repair them. And they'll come back up and you repair them. But for a lot of ships, if they're disabled in a weird spot, like the Herc, if it's upside down, and even if the ramps are open, how do you get back out of the Herc and back into the Moth? Right? You could just jump out of the Moth to get on top of the Herc and then get inside the Herc. But how do you get back out of the Herc and into the Moth? Like it's a lot more complicated than you think it is to salvage ships if they're in gravity. There was a raft that was abandoned too, like in the areas. Like, how do I get inside the raft? Well, if you shoot the airlock open on the raft and then you strafe up with the Pulse and then jam it into the airlock on the raft, you can get inside, disable the ship, and then salvage it.
Sorry.
And believe it or not, you go for it.
Space Tomato just rated us and was like, I'm going to continue to spam in there until Space Tomato, until you recognize us. Hello, Tomato. Thank you for the raid. I tend to not like to acknowledge raids, not because I don't appreciate it, but because this is going to go up on like podcast format later. So it's like people won't have the context of me being like, oh, hey, Space Tomato. Thank you. Like, who's Space Tomato? What's going on? How's this fit this? Let's move on to the last question. Because we're going on. Where's this? I want to ask you this question, Vertigo, because this is something that I've seen mentioned a lot, and I've seen it come up more recently as well, which is this belief that Star Citizen has fundamentally drifted away from its roots as a space game and is now simply a first-person shooter with space elements. Do you believe that's the case, or is Star Citizen still sort of a space game, as it were? Or is it changed?
I see a lot of activities in Star Citizen revolving around FPS gameplay. I really do think I'm of the cult of Star Citizen is becoming more FPS. I think CIG's trying to solve that. There are like they're adding missions back to like go through rec sites. With the next patch coming out, like you go to a rec site, you collect stuff, you come back. Those are kind of old missions. We are seeing with the new Rockbreaker stuff where you can get into EVA and whatnot and do stuff in EVA. But as far as like doing stuff in ships, like besides like salvaging and mining, like there's really not much exploration you do in your ship or in zero gravity. So like you go back and look at like Hathor and what was that? Ghost Hollow and Stormbreaker and the ASD stuff. The Onyx facilities, the Ormandi fight, the Apex Valakar fight, Rockcracker. A lot of these big maypole features or like these centerpieces for patch releases and whatnot are very much FPS gameplay. And the thing is, like FPS gameplay is, as I've mentioned before, they're intuitive. Right? If your FPS gameplay can be relatable to other games that other people have played, they're very popular. PlayerUnknown Battleground, Call of Duty, Battlefield. It's a very easy entry into Star Citizen. Like I understand how this works. I understand the gun. I understand how to reload. Even though I don't understand what the gun looks like. Like it's a gun. It looks like a gun, but I don't I've never seen this gun before in my life. I know this end is the end that you point towards the enemies, and this end is where the trigger is, and this looks like where the magazine goes. Like, it's not a Call of Duty gun I've ever seen before. People still understand how that gameplay loop works, right? So it's easy for CIG to have their level designers cook up an FPS stuff and make that stuff work. Now, they did show off, in CIG's defense, they did show off an idea for a space-based raid.
Mhm.
2 years ago, Paul, correct me on this one. It was during, it wasn't the live one. It was the one where it was like
Pre-recorded? That was
pre-recorded.
last year.
Yeah,
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still working on it. It's set to release in May.
Yeah. What was that called again?
Strike groups.
Tactical strike groups.
Yeah, the Vandal shield generators. You had to disable
Yeah.
shields. The anti-capital ship turrets. If you got your turret ships, with the trench run, which was really, that music was so good for the trench run. Oh my god, was that Pedro?
That
Did
was
he do
Pedro.
that?
Of course it's Pedro.
That was good.
Pedro.
I know
Pedro
everybody tells me I'm
cooks.
super salty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pedro cooks. But the CIG will say, like, Pedro, we just need something to play while players are like transitioning between points in a quantum drive. And he's just like, okay, cool. We'll write out something that people will sit there and just like gasp over. Like, why is this the travel music? Like, this is so good for
Yeah.
travel music. Why is this making me
Literally
feel
like
things?
piano on fire, kind of
Yeah,
like on
yeah.
the ocean.
Yeah.
Why
dot
did you
JPEG.
do this to us,
It's like
Pedro?
hold my beer, here we go. You know, this is
So
so,
yeah, so the problem is, and like I will be in that part of the fan base to say Star Citizen is becoming more FPS like, because it's easy, right? It's you can hire people straight from the Battlefield studios, straight from Electronic Arts, straight from Ubisoft, that have done that stuff before. Level designers, like, you have level designers. What are your level designers going to make? They're going to make FPS levels. Like, how do you get those level designers who've made FPS levels to make space levels that are interesting for spaceships, right? And what Star Citizen does, and I have to give Chris Roberts props for this, like, the vision is very broad and very deep here. And how do you fill that play space with interesting ship-based content, right? That it's fun, that people actually want to engage with, because that's fun. That very dangerous 3-letter F word in video gaming, where not everybody's fun is the same, right? We've had the Hunt the Polaris missions before. We look at the spaceship stuff they've had in the past, where it's like Hunt the Polaris, Xenothreats. There's been technical limitations with those, where you have like lag, desync, and crashing, and back when Xenothreat first came out, we still had 30Ks, right? I actually liked Xenothreat. I liked certain aspects of Ninetales Lockdown. When I discovered that Ninetales Lockdown could have a side progress with finding wreck sites to capture medical supplies from wrecked starfarers, just like Xenothreat, I was over the moon at that point. I'm like, you're telling me I could come across a wrecked starfarer during the Ninetales Lockdown, find medical supplies that were on their way to the space station that needed medical supplies, and I could finish that delivery and make money doing that and progress the mission chain we're doing right now? I was amazed. But I almost never saw those wrecked starfarers. Almost never during Ninetales Lockdown. And the problem I have with a lot of the combat stuff, the space combat stuff, is the capital ships tend to be very bullet spongy, and it gets very exhausting to actually like take on capital ships, Polarises, Idrises, and whatnot. Even if you're in another Polaris, or if you're in a Polaris firing torpedoes at an Idris, or you're another Idris firing lasers, or like the railgun rounds. Ninetales Lockdown, and to a certain extent the Xenothreat, when you actually got to the spaceship combat, I was almost bored to tears. Because you're just feeding DPS into a target, and there's either the PDCs are targeting you, turrets are targeting you, and you're taking damage, and you have to evade, and it's just like, well, you just have to break off for a little while, and then wait for the turrets to retask to someone else, and then you come back in and start feeding DPS into the target. It's like doing like a raid in Borderlands or something. Like you just hold down the mouse one button, and you just kind of like hope you don't take enough damage to die. Paul, how do you do that? It's a huge monumental task. it's easier to design FPS level with a bunch of cool side objectives, like the
Mhm.
rock cracker dungeons going on right now, where you have to like bring power cores to this, and then you have to go get the power cores plugged in. Then you have to go turn the station on, and then you have to fight your way through to get the laser lens refractor things installed. And you have to go through the tram system to install the laser refractor things, and you have to head to the laser thing, turn the laser thing on. You have to fight. And, oh God, there's players that showed up! Quick, we have to fight the players! Oh, Billy's down! Quick, kill Billy! Okay, Billy's up. We have to crack the rock before more players show up. That is so much easier to build and design than how do you make blowing up an Idris really cool, right?
Yeah, without also boarding the Idris and fighting people in the Idris with FPS and that kind of stuff.
Yes. Eventually your space combat game is going to turn into an FPS
Yes.
game.
So I get it. I get what you're saying. Axis, same question to you. Has Star Citizen become an FPS game with space rather than a space game with FPS?
Unfortunately, I have to agree with Vertigo on this. It feels like very much so they're hiring too many people from industries that are too convenient to get things done. And it's a hard truth. Not gonna lie, you FPSers, you eat too damn good. Hard truth.
We
I hate
do.
people.
You also come from like an industry background, so you kind of there is that bit of a like industry, but okay. DZ, same question to you. Is Star Citizen now just FPS Citizen?
For the time being, I'm gonna say, I feel like we're getting crafting, which is just another gameplay loop where all avenues are going to lead essentially to FPS gameplay. You're going to get better. You're going to make better guns, so people are going to want to use them. You know what I mean? But then crafting's going to help feed the industry style of stuff, and I feel like no matter where you turn, you are going to find FPS gameplay. Whether it's the tactical strike group, yes, we're going to have to do some space combat to get it started. It's going to lead to a ground crew. Like Vertigo said, taking down an Idris is probably going to end up being an FPF mission because they are it's impenetrable. It took hours with a full group of people in the org, multiple Polarises, our own Idris, and he just kept hopping quantum to quantum, trying to track him down and all that. Every other fighter was dead, but the Idris was going nowhere. So it's like no one's going to want to stick around for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think until we get base building and other avenues where the industry gameplay can feed, so making your super space station and that kind of thing, but then there'll be an element of FPS. You're going to need guards, but then you'll need ship combat on the outside. So currently I think all avenues lead there. Crafting's not going to help that. Everyone's going to want new stuff, but until we have the things that are promised, as you were talking in your pre-stream about what's promised in the in the 1.0 sort of game space, yeah, currently it is just where it's going to end up. And yes, dogfighting's fun. I love mining, salvaging. I love all of that. But like I said earlier, the way the game is at the moment, I keep going back to just precision strike missions, vandal tech smugglers. I'm going to hit rock cracker. It's just where the game is at the moment. So like Axis said, FPS players are eating good right now.
I'm going to push back on it a little bit, only in the sense that Star Citizen is a first-person perspective game. It was designed as a first-person perspective game. It was always going to be a first-person perspective game. So first-person perspective was always going to be the thing that CIG would default to. And I don't think that fundamentally it's a bad thing that people will eventually get into FPS combat. I think the problem is because like you look at it from an industry point of view. FPS mining sucks. Nobody does it. FPS salvage sucks. Nobody does it. You do it because with the ships, and so like almost all of the other professions are heavily ship based, except for combat. Combat has more.
The problem with FPS salvage and mining is there's really no payoff right now.
Yeah.
Besides like healing your ship. If your ship gets damaged, you go out and you do a little salvaging, get your canister filled up, but now you can just buy full canisters, so who cares, right?
Yeah.
Or canisters come with the ship. But you just get out, repair your ship, and you just get back in. You fly. So FPS repair, I guess, is the only thing that you can really do with the salvaging tool. But there is a use case, and I was talking about today with on stream when we were going to the Rockcracker dungeon, and I actually impressed a viewer that I haven't seen in a while. Can't remember the name. Sorry. There are, and this happens in the Onyx facilities as well, where in order to progress the storyline or get deeper into the dungeon, that is the Onyx facility or Rockcracker, you have to repair pipes to get power. To get, in case of Rockcracker, like you have to get air pressure to a door that has an air cylinder, open it up. So you have to repair like a pipe nearby. With ASD, you have to repair some pipes to get like hydraulic fluid to go to a device to power up the console you want to use.
But
so there is some pipes nearby you can salvage.
But those are all for in service of FPS gameplay. Like that's
Yes,
not
exactly.
not his initial thing, and that's the thing. And my point being that I think the problem that people have is that people come into the game going, people came into the game when we were younger and fresher faced and green and back in the early days of the game. I think a lot of people came in expecting Star Citizen to be Elite Dangerous or Wing Commander,
where you don't actually leave your spaceship that much.
Yeah. And people were super excited.
Your character is the spaceship, like Freelancer.
Yeah. And I think they expected, adding the first person perspective would be more of a, like also more immersive and more engaged. And they didn't really think that if you add a first person perspective, the game is going to be built around first person perspective activities. And the thing we're really suffering from is more the lack of complexity and engagement with non-first person shooter stuff. Like if they made crafting, salvaging, mining more like engaging in first person, people would be doing first person perspective mining, salvaging, and crafting. And they kind of are with crafting as well right now because it's the only thing you can do. But if they made ship combat more engaging, people would still do that. But then you'd always default back to, well, what's going to make ship combat better? Things like multi-crew gameplay where more people have to work together. Well, it's still first-person perspective because you still have to run around your ship with engineering and heal stuff. And like it always comes back to that. So I think the idea that Star Citizen is evolving into just being a first-person shooter is misunderstanding the fact that Star Citizen has always been a first-person game. And that just shooting is the easiest thing to do. And just like combat, with Arena Commander for the longest time, combat was the only thing to do. I think the thing is more that I think CIG needs to evolve the other loops of its gameplay to a point where people feel more engaged. And then people won't talk about first-person shooter because it'll be like, oh, yeah, well, I'm a crafter and a base builder. It's like, well, that's also first person. People wouldn't think like that because it's not a shooter. You get what I mean?
Like one thing I would love CIG to implement. One thing I would like CIG to like emphasize or develop in the future is first-person socializing.
Yes.
Right, because we're an MMO, we need to have social spaces where players can meet up, talk, and just like do stuff. And I don't know, it's hard to explain, but we're an MMO where you should have a social aspect to it, and we need to have working voice over IP for that kind of stuff.
Well, surely the dream is to do the captain's table in Star Citizen.
Star Citizen,
yeah. We should all be sat doing it that way, right?
There should be a camera locked down and be able to like look at us, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, even if it's just you build the pub in your hangar, but whatever, it's just it's where we want it to end up. And I think like you've touched on there, obviously everything's FPS because that's the game. Combat is the easiest thing for them to get right. Like you said, they can scalp people from EA, they can scalp people from other companies. I think Vertigo mentioned earlier. So that's I think just to the point I think we all said earlier, it's the easiest thing to get right. It gets players in the door, but they do definitely need to put a more heavy focus on making the other loops a lot more fun. I think.
And I do think they know that because fundamentally, I have not seen as engaged of a fan base in a very long time outside of the Race for Stanton missions. Even though they were broken half the time, the number of people who are like, there is a literal mission or literal like limited time event, which is just hauling cargo. Let me hop in and do that. It broke the game. like how
Yeah.
how many people came back for it.
I've
And
never seen such a community spirit. Like people, obviously all the ATLSs that were out there, and
Yeah.
then if someone was parked on the freight elevator you wanted, like I would jump out and help them load up, and
yeah,
they would help me load, and it was just
yeah,
it was beautiful. It was like the summer when Pokemon Go came out and world peace was achieved. You know
yes,
what I mean? Like
for
everyone was just
2 months, yeah.
yeah, everything was just perfect. And then obviously the freight elevator debacle, but
Mhm.
But,
that's
but I
that.
mean, that's a good indication that there's a lot more players who are willing to engage with industry than they thought. And
Yeah.
and so the key is, and I think that we're sort of seeing that now with like the creation of them focusing more on like starter salvage, starter mining, more advanced salvage, more cargo. Like the Raylan got fast tracked, of all things. The Raylan, the big cargo ship. The Ironclad, the Ironclad Assault, which is more combat, but it's still a big cargo ship. The Whole B got fast tracked. Like these are all cargo ships, and they're likely to come out
Yeah.
around Invictus, which is the military event. It's like, where are these why are we getting these cargo? And I think it's because CIG started realizing that industry was an important factor, and they've been focusing so much on that combat aspect that they had needed to start focusing on those other things. And that's hopefully why we got in 4.7, we got the courier missions back and all those other things too. So
the Raylan got a massive redesign as well.
Yeah.
For people who haven't
Did
been
it?
following it.
it got a
Yes,
huge overhaul.
it went up from what 320 cargo to way over what the whole C not the whole C, but the C2 can carry.
Mhm.
Almost the same amount. And
They pretty much doubled, didn't it? I
they
think,
went
yeah.
from the triangular crates to the square crates.
Yeah, they changed the.
And
Good.
I think it's almost done. It should be out for
Alien Week,
Alien Week, which will be 2 months
Alien
from
Week,
now.
yeah.
Literally.
June.
June. Well, three.
And I thought it was like when they said, "Oh yeah, it's in white box." I'm like, it'll come out at the end of the year at best, maybe the beginning of next year. And they literally said in the last month of the report, "Yeah, it's coming out in Alien Week." It's like, all right then, they're fast tracking it. Like, why would they do that? My only thought is, CIG wants to do more industry. And I think they're looking at their roster and they're like, yeah, we've made 17 light fighters and 2 medium haulers. We should probably focus on hauler and one like multi-crew mining ship. But maybe we should start doing more industry stuff. And
I'd
I think
also
that,
argue it's the largest alien ship we've ever had.
yes, it is, until the Venue Merchantman. But yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that sort of focus will cause the conversation to drift away from first-person shooter being the only thing that Star Citizen is doing. So I think the fundamental answer is Star Citizen is a first-person universe in space, and that includes shooting, crafting, mining, flying ships, and doing those other things. But
Absolutely, yeah.
thank you for the discussion. We're going to take a quick break. For those of you who are listening to this after the fact on YouTube, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that follow button here on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to be notified when there's release, and comment down below your thoughts. Is Star Citizen just FPS Citizen? Is it not going to get any better? Even your salty thoughts, because that all feeds the algorithm, which helps me out as well, especially if you enjoyed this.
Algorithm for algorithm.
And I do actually read all the comments. I try to. So try to keep it as civil as possible, but we also do those like sort of call-in events once a month now. So if you have your own theories, your own discussions or something, you can always do that. If you're listening to this on the podcast version, you'll hear just a quick transition and move straight into the question and answer session. But for those of you watching live, hold on for a few minutes. We're going to take a break. We're going to use the restroom, get something to drink. And until then, like I say every time, before I go, check out Citizen Deedsy YouTube, right? Twitch, mostly YouTube.
YouTube, that's right. Yeah.
Axis0096 on all of the different social channels, and HC Vertical and Twitch and YouTube. I know you mentioned this, and I didn't jump onto it, but his new video is really good. He's been doing really well and doing lots of cool new videos as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.